Hello and welcome to this special podcast as part of Safeguarding Adults Week 2025, an annual national campaign running from November 17th to 21st, led by the Handcraft Trust. This week is a significant opportunity for everyone across the UK, including organisations, individuals and communities, to come together and raise awareness and improve safeguarding practices of safeguarding adults, which means looking out for yourself and others and knowing what to do if you are worried that someone is suffering abuse or neglect. Throughout this week, various themes are explored, particularly for professionals and volunteers who may come into contact with adults who have needs for care and support, such as proactive intervention, prevention in practice, creating empowering environments, trusting your instinct, and celebrating safer cultures. These conversations are vital to highlight key safeguarding issues and promote best practices across different sectors. The Handcraft Trust plays a pivotal role in coordinating the campaign, working tirelessly to ensure that safeguarding adults is understood and implemented effectively in all industries. Their work is essential in supporting professionals to create safer cultures for vulnerable adults, ensuring that learning continues year-round. Today we have a special guest joining us, Adrian Green, the independent chair of the Teeswide Safeguarding Adults Board. Adrian brings a wealth of experience, having served as a former Durham Police Commander for safeguarding and neighbourhood policing, and he will be sharing valuable insights about safeguarding practices and the role of the board in the Teesside area. We will dive deeper into the critical work being done to protect adults and explore how themes of this year's campaign can be applied in practical ways. Adrian, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today, all about Safeguarding Adults Week 2025, which runs this week, November 17th to the 21st, led by the Handcraft Trust, and this week's significant opportunity for everyone across the UK, including organisations, individuals and communities, to come together and raise awareness of safeguarding issues and improve safeguarding practices for adults. But could you start today by just explaining a little bit about the primary role of the Teesside Safeguarding Adults Board and how it supports local authorities, health bodies and the police to safeguard adults across Teesside in this week?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. TSAB is a statutory board, and it includes the statutory partners of the police, the health providers, and also the four local authorities: Hartlepool, Stockton, Middlesbrough and Redcar and Cleveland. And we have a statutory responsibility to make sure that people with care and support needs are looked after and that they can live their independent lives free from the risks and the harms of abuse and neglect. And also within that, one of our roles is to try and prevent and delay the support needs of individuals, but also that when we do need to intervene and support people, then the care plans are developed with them and that they have a voice and that they're proportionate, they're the least intrusive to try and keep somebody independently living as they would like. And in addition to that, the SAB has a statutory responsibility to identify learning opportunities where incidents have occurred, as well as best practice, and to publish them and create actions that will amend practice so that we don't get a recurrence of those incidents.
It does run across this whole week in November every year, and I believe the board works closely with partners within certain sectors, seeking assurance on safeguarding practices and working together to, like you say, prevent adult abuse and neglect.
Yeah, absolutely. And Safeguarding Week is a big thing for us. It's a great opportunity to work with all our partners, both practitioners and carers, and also to work with the public to spread the message about what we do, how they can play their part, and also how they can interact with us. We'll talk later about the annual survey that's live at the moment, where people can have a voice to actually design and shape the services that we and our partners offer.
Fantastic. We'll definitely come to that later on, like you mentioned. But we'll kind of talk about how the week runs now, because when we've had this chat previous years, we've gathered that there's a little bit of a different theme every day. So we'll start with Monday, which is proactive intervention. So We will begin the week with a focus on proactive intervention and the positive steps we can take to prevent abuse before it happens. It is focusing on the good things we can do as individuals and as collective organisations to create safer environments that actively work to prevent abuse. So how does TSAB as a partnership create safer environments that actively work to prevent abuse and neglect before it even starts?
Well, as you would expect from a statutory board, our job's to try and ensure and support partners deliver a preventative and delaying approach so that people, as they have issues or get older in life, we can push back the need for interventions to offer them care and support. So we can push that back as much as possible, then people can live their lives independently as for a longer period. And it also means that the services that are available can be used more effectively and efficiently. But also where people do need care and support, we want to make sure that the partners have got practices, policies and procedures in place that can identify care and support needs and intervene at an early point, because again, that means that the risks of abuse and neglect and the suffering and the stress that care and support needs can put on individuals and families can be reduced.
So it's essentially it's like cutting it out before it's even started.
That's absolutely right, and it makes perfect sense that would happen. And the SAB has a lot of things that we do to try and support our partners in that, in terms of toolkits, advice, guidance. We have our website, we offer training, we have a decision-making process that means that all of the partners try to have a decision-making model that is the same. Our website offers the public and practitioners guidance, training, webinars, etc., to try and improve and refresh their training, or to give engagement and advice to members of the public, their carers and the wider families. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got our annual survey running at the moment. It runs until the middle of January next year. It can be accessed on our website, which we'll talk about at the end, where people can actually give us feedback, both practitioners, carers, people who have got care and support needs and their families. They can actually give us feedback on what their interaction with us has been, or what they would like to see, or how services could be improved. So we'd really like people to engage with that. And lastly, one of the things that the TSAB does is that we actually run campaigns and spotlight campaigns to actually focus on key issues around prevention and intervention. And some good examples of that are Middlesbrough, and the work we've done on back to basics, looking at safeguarding across our procedures.
You mentioned the word prevention there too, and Tuesday kind of does follow a little bit of a similar path, because on Tuesday we're exploring what prevention in practice really looks like and the differences between a complicit culture, a compliant culture and a genuinely confident workforce. The role of leadership in shaping safer cultures is a big part. So can you tell me a little bit about this and how TSAB supports organisations and professionals to embed these values and lead safer with more proactive safeguarding cultures, and almost a little bit about what the difference is really between proactive and prevention, really.
Okay, so obviously we're looking at proactivity, about getting ahead.
Yeah.
Actually trying to think about what demands are coming in, emerging issues, how we can get ahead, prevent and delay people requiring complex care and support plans that are very expensive, very intrusive. If we can prevent those and give people a more active, independent life early on, that's about being proactive. Preventing and delay, obviously, is trying to complement that. And where we have issues, it's also about trying to give a care plan that actually keeps people in their own home to begin with, gives them that independence and support, and prevents them having ultimately to go into more complex settings. So we do lots of things around that. It's one of the TSAB's top strategic priorities, and we want to ensure that staff are well trained, well supported, they feel confident, and that they are competent in what they do, and that they have their knowledge frequently refreshed, which is part of what Safeguarding Adult Week tries to do with the practitioners. And to support that, we do a lot of training. So within 24-25, we've done 7,500 learners. We've looked at trauma-informed practice, legal literacy, safeguarding for managers, and people in positions of trust. So we've done a lot of work on that. We also have an audit subgroup that looks at dip sampling, case studies, doing multi-agency audits, and we have a quality assessment framework. And we support leaders and managers with feedback to try and implement changes to practice and procedures, and obviously that will give us better preventative outcomes. And we also have the Safeguarding Adult reviews where things haven't gone as we would like, or the issues have emerged that we think there's learning opportunities, or indeed, and often is the case, where we've got good practice. We want to actually shine a light on that and try and spread it and embed it across the partnership. And so we have the SARs, we'll talk a bit more about those later, and that helps us prevent incidents of a similar nature happening again in the future.
Yes, I guess, like we say, Monday and Tuesday do kind of follow that similar path in kind of the proactive and the way you can prevent things. But on Wednesday, you move forward into creating empowering environments, which is about looking at how positive risk-taking can help create trauma-informed approaches, and it can support staff to feel confident in enabling and empowering individuals. So how does it work to promote these values as approaches across Safeguarding Week?
Well, TSAB wants to ensure that the people with care and support needs feel that they've been involved, and being involved means that their voice has been heard and they've been empowered. And we want them to actually engage with our practitioners on what type of care and support that they need. We want it to be the least intrusive, we want it to be proportionate, and we want it to actually be shaped by them. We also want to make sure that the carer and the wider family are involved in that also. So that all fits in with the 6 pillars under making safeguarding personal, which is a golden thread of how safeguarding is delivered to adults within our community. And this means that care needs, their family carers are listened to, heard about what they would like to happen and when and where. It's not always the case that that can be delivered. Some of their aspirations might not be appropriate, but where it is, we want to try and engage in that within the care plans and the equipment that is offered. But if it can't be, we want to make sure that they understand it's been explained, and they feel as though they've had an opportunity to influence and have their voice heard. And we want to ensure that there's a culture that exists across safeguarding that's proactive and person-centred, and as I've said, least intrusive, and involves everybody that's involved. And we've launched our trauma-informed toolkit. So this is looking broader at all of the issues that may have occurred that might be actually contributing to the situation that an individual's in. And that also links to being professionally curious about why issues are happening. And we want to embed that learning, we want to embed that good practice in all of the procedures and effective safeguarding practices across the TSAB partnership. To complement that as well, we also involved people with lived experience in the design and the delivery of services. So we want to make sure that those people with that experience are being heard and give us their critical views.
It's an important thing, isn't it, when you can kind of get that experience from somebody that has been through something.
It really is. And,
yeah.
You know, one of the things that they've recently shaped and designed the delivery of us is our Safe Place scheme, which, you know, we've got sanctuaries across all of the partnership area where people can go, feel safe, but have actually people with our safeguarding champions who can actually offer advice and signpost effectively. And that's an example of where people with lived experience has helped us.
Absolutely, it's a really important thing. And as we move on to day 4, Thursday, this is another really important one, which is trusting your instincts. So it's all about building the courage and resilience to speak out when something doesn't feel right. You know, you might just spot something amongst a colleague you think maybe that's a little bit out of character for them. And it's about kind of building up the skills to speak up when you feel that something's not right. So can you tell me a little bit about what Thursday entails and what the TSAB does for this?
Yeah, well, day 4, Thursday, is Trust Your Instincts. And it's about just complementing, again, professional curiosity, asking the why and the so what questions. And also with practitioners, it's about developing a supportive culture where we want the practitioners to feel safe to constructively, respectively challenge and raise concerns about, is this the best way? Are we really keeping this person safe? Are we being as supportive as we can? Are we being as least intrusive? Are there other issues that perhaps we've missed? It's, when we're trying to be engaged with people, we're trying to involve them, it's really important that we still have the courage to actually probe, ask the right questions and challenge. But it's also right within our practices that practitioners can challenge each other across the partnership.
Yeah.
And that's a really important part of the TSAB coming together. So the SAB has a clear escalation framework where there are safe routes that exist for concerns to be constructively, critically and respectfully challenged and debated. And that ensures that through debate we keep people safe, issues that are causing concerns are raised, and then we can have supervisory oversight and that people can be looked after. And again, this is all linked to our making safeguarding personal, that golden thread that goes through everything that we do within safeguarding. And safeguarding can be very complex and unclear, and it's difficult trying to balance the conflicting issues. But we want to make sure that the right processes are in place to identify the best approach across the agencies and to keep those people supported and safe.
Absolutely. It's like we say, something that's really important, to check in with your peers if something doesn't feel quite right, but it can be quite a tough thing to do, and kind of knowing how you approach them and how you go about it in the right way without being almost too intrusive.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And getting that balance right is a real skill, because many of the people that our practitioners and carers are working with are frustrated.
Yeah.
They can be in pain. They can be angry at the circumstances that they're involved, but also they can be presenting different symptoms because they can have multiple issues, and also some of those issues can be compensated for by alcohol and drug use. So we're not seeing them in a state where they're easy to work with. It's a real balancing act to try and make sure that we are supporting people, caring for them, but actually we're really finding the root cause issues and challenging and probing to make sure that we can give them the right care and the right support at the right time.
Absolutely. And as we move on to day 5, which is the final week, because it only runs across Monday to Friday. So as the week closes, the focus is celebrating safer cultures, the partnerships, success stories, and good practice that makes safeguarding real. So it's kind of like reflecting on past examples that has proved effective safeguarding practice across Teesside.
That's right. And our partners across the SAB have great committed people doing fantastic work, keeping people supported, safe, living well. And we want to ensure that this is recognised and celebrated, and that we can share what's working well across all the partners, so we can holistically uplift our skills and our abilities across the staff and make a difference for the people that they're caring for. And so in 24-25, we published 3 safeguarding adult reviews that were independently authored and identified learning that could make improvements so that incidents don't happen again, and also identified good practice that we can either reinforce across the partnership, or we can make sure that we share and that people basically copy it and embed it within their practices. The TSAB covers 4 local authority areas, and we're the only SAB in the country that does that. And that offers us a great opportunity to learn from each other, to get a greater number of learning issues that we can reflect upon, and we can develop interventions and improvements, but also identify that good work across all of those partnerships across the 4 boroughs. And so we're very lucky to have that opportunity, and we really try to exploit it as best as we can. And we also encourage and support collaboration across our partners. So we get that shared learning, and we've got some great examples. Let's Start Talking within Middlesbrough, and we've also got Hartlepool's trauma-informed practice, and also their approach to hoarding and the support they give to that issue and house clearing. And there's many more examples that people, if they're interested in, can see within our annual report, which is published and will be on our website.
And talking of all of them things again, thank you very much for explaining all about what each day kind of entails and the work that goes into it. But you mentioned the website there. Can you tell people where they can look at that for more information on these 5 days that we've just covered?
Absolutely. They can go to www.tsab.org.uk and they will see all of the items around Safeguarding Week, and they'll also see the annual report and a wealth of other information, including training as well.
And looking ahead for future priorities for safeguarding in Teesside, what are the key areas of focus or challenges that TSAB plans to address in the coming years to further protect vulnerable adults and improve safeguarding practices across our region?
So this year we've finished our previous 3-year plan, and we spent some time reflecting on what are the key issues, and we've developed our new priorities, and they're going to be delivered over the next 3 years through our subgroups. That also includes a new subgroup, working group subgroup, which is looking at rough sleeping. So government have challenged the SABs to drive down the number of persistent people who feel the need to live on the streets, and the circumstances that actually contribute towards that. So that will be a huge piece of work that we're looking at, together with other emerging issues such as exploitation, modern day slavery, things connected with transition by young people moving into adulthood, but also transition of service and transition of place. So we'll be looking at what we can do to make sure that those go more easily, and also that the risks that can occur within transition are mitigated. So these are the things that we will be looking at. We'll also be continuing to raise awareness within our communities and try and get better reach to make sure that people understand what abuse and neglect looks like and how they can report it. And we'll be carrying on with that engagement, and we'll also be trying to seek out people's voices in different ways, and we've talked about the annual survey. So we'll also be continuing to work in partnership and support our communities and make sure that we keep them safe and protected. It's really important that anybody who does feel that there may be abuse and neglect within somebody they know or somebody that they care for, make sure that they report it. And if in doubt, please report it. They can either do that with their local authority, adult safeguarding and social services. They can do it via our website and get information there. And if it's an emergency, they should ring 999. And as I've said, there's lots and lots of information on our website, and that's www.tsab.org.uk.
It's really important that we raise awareness about it, especially through this week, because that's the objective at the end of the day, to raise awareness on safeguarding issues within adults. But thank you very much for joining us again, Adrian. And is there anything else that you would like to shine a light on regarding safeguarding and Adults Week?
No, I just hope that people find it very interesting. Safeguarding is everybody's business. We all have a role to play in it. And I think the big message is, and you've used the phrase, shine a light on it. If in doubt, shine a light on it. Let the professionals have a look. Let's get in and support people. And let's make sure that we reduce and drive out the opportunities for abuse and neglect to exist.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us again, Adrian, and having this conversation and talking about everything that the TSAB does for Teeswide Safeguarding Adults Week.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
That brings us to the end of this important discussion with Adrian Green. A huge thank you to Adrian for joining us today and for shedding light on the vital work being done by the Teesside Safeguarding Adults Board. Safeguarding is everyone's responsibility, and as we've learned, continuous improvement and partnership are key to making our communities safer. If you want to learn more or get involved, make sure to follow the latest updates from Teesside Safeguarding Adults Board on social media for Safeguarding Adults Week using the hashtag Safeguarding Adults Week. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll continue the conversation and action within your own community.